What's up, my YouTube friends? The Cabin Fun Mobile. Got the tracks all installed. So I'm gonna go through a quick explanation on how we installed these tracks on there. It's Christmas weekend, and in between visiting family and having family come over, I've been working on this thing, trying to get this ready for our annual New Year's weekend up at the cabin. And we got plenty of snow up there, so I wanted to get the tracks on so we can do a little track vehicling off-road and stuff. So I'm gonna explain it. These are Commander. These are for the Bombardier Commanders is the bolt pattern that's on them. So it's a 4-on-115. And the Camso brand. And I was actually able on Amazon buy an adapter. Crazy deal. I went on Amazon and I just Googled adapters, wheel adapters, a 5-on-4.5, which is the Jeep bolt pattern, to a 4-on-115. Well, the adapter is actually 4-on-114.3. I looked at the millimeter difference. It was like 30 thousandths difference from 114.3 to 115. I'm like, 30 thousandths, that's in the hole, in the tolerance of the hole. So I bought them and they fit on perfectly onto the tracks. So we put them on. They're a 2-piece adapter. You bolt the one adapter on first, and then you bolt the second adapter that brings you down from the 5 bolt pattern down to that 4 for the tracks. And I'll show you in here. And then I just had to buy all the lug nuts. I got them from O'Reilly's. And then I even put a paint mark, because there is 2 bolt patterns on these tracks, but I put a paint mark on which ones I need to line up when I put these on. So that's where I got the adapters from. They're like under $300 for the 4 adapters. So that was awesome that Amazon had them. And we'll just start in the rear. Let me grab my little light here so you guys can see what's going on. So on these UTV tracks, unlike a vehicle track, the UTV tracks have an anti-rotating bar. So your tracks can't flip around on you. And so these bars have got to be mounted somehow, some way. I chose the welding method here. I made brackets to my rear trailing arms and bolted them right to those brackets. And when the tracks come off, take the bolt out and my tires will fit on. You could come in off of this bolt right here and make some kind of a bracket, maybe a square U-bolt around here on a Jeep. You know, every vehicle's different to be able to mount this so that you're bolting on instead of welding. I chose to weld it. I don't know. I figured it'd be just fine welding it on there. When it comes to time to take it off, yeah, I'll have to cut it off. But I really didn't feel like spending the extra time to make a bracket that was removable by bolts. This seemed to be a easy deal, so that's what I went with. So that's basically the rear. And once you get it set on the floor, I'll explain your setup here too. So once you get everything mounted, you get it sitting down on the floor, you need 12 inches from the top of your idler to the floor. And once that's set, you want a 1-inch gap between this nut and this right here. See if I pick this up, see that gap is created? A 1-inch gap, and then you run this nut up to your spring until the nut makes contact to the spring. Then you give it 1.5 turns after that just to put a little preload on the spring. And that'll help keep your tracks stable as you're running along and keep it from wanting to rotate on you. So that's basically the rear. I mean, honestly, the rear took me about an hour and a half total to fab up the brackets and get the tracks mounted on there and all set up, and the rear was done. Now the front, I could not possibly, in my mind, figure out how in the hell these things were gonna turn and have this bracket hooked up at the same time. I actually made one mount and had Trenton turn the wheel so I could actually see what was going on, and it's amazing. It turns back and forth. I just thought this was gonna prevent it from turning. But this is your anti-rotation bracket in the front. Once again, once you get your track mounted, you look for level on this, and then you need 12 inches from your idler wheel to the ground, and that bubble should be in the center of the level gauge there. But I made these 2 brackets, a bracket for each side, and all I did was drill some holes through my lower A-arm, or lower control arm, A-arm, whatever you want to call it. I drilled some holes up through there. I ran spacers too up in this cavity up here. You can maybe see them here. Let me get the light up there. You can see some spacers. So I'm not just crushing the bolt in there. I actually ran DON tube in there for spacers. So I ran 3 bolts up through there, and then you want this mount right here. You want that as close to your ball joint as possible. I couldn't get it to go underneath. Something to do with my wheel spacing, I don't know. But if I tried pulling this arm in so it ended up below the ball joint, it wasn't liking it. So I just went just to the outside of the ball joint in the same plane, and everything steers great. Once again, custom deal. This isn't a kit or anything you're going to find, but if you want to try and put these things on your Jeep Liberty, I'm showing you what you're going to need to do. And it might work for other applications too. Same thing, made another plate for over here, bolted everything on. So these easily are able to come on and off. And the main reason I did them so they're boltable was so that I can gain access to my ball joint if I needed to. So that's why those are bolted on. So that's basically the install. It went fairly easy. I got to make a skid plate up here yet. We were driving it in like 18 inches of snow yesterday, and we packed the whole engine compartment up here with snow. And the belts got wet, and it wasn't liking life. So I'm gonna make a skid plate for right there to try and keep some of that snow from getting up in the engine compartment. But let's get it down off the rack, and let's take this thing for a ride. Well, there it is, guys. Project Funmobile. Been a great project. Got the tracks on it. It's gonna be fun. It wasn't that bad of a project either. God, I think yesterday I only had a few hours into it. So I hope this helps anybody that's looking to try and put tracks on their Jeep. Yeah, got any questions, just comment and I'll try and answer what I can. Thanks a lot, guys.